Mommy.
Hi, Nana. What do you got? Anything going on in social?
This is gonna be really late by the time we publish this, but right now, the 2016 trend, obviously, I haven't talked about it yet on here, so I feel like I can talk about it, even though this is gonna be published, and it's gonna be so, like, out of date by the time this is published, But at the moment that we are recording this, in January, the 2026 is the new 2016, is what is all over my Instagram feed right now.
Me too.
But
And that's been on mine too. I saw our summer camp published. Your brother made it on there as a little kid.
Oh yes, and then he yelled at me for sending it to him.
Why?
'Cause, I don't know. He gave me attitude.
Okay, well I sent it to him too. So anyway, all right. Yeah, that's fun. I'm still getting a lot of sorority rush stuff because there's still schools at this moment still going through. So that's fun and exciting. And of course, I'm still seeing a lot about Indiana winning, which, I think we're all still recovering from being up all night Monday night. But I don't know about you. I am still recovering and it's a crazy week here. So, but that was really fun. It was fun to see you all over the Instagram of Kilroy's, and all your footage that you sent me from Kirkwood was just really, really fun. And I'm excited that you had such a quintessential moment in college. Like, it's so rare to get that and to have them actually win. But the Indiana story is unlike any other. And even if you're not a sports fan, you've got to love this story. It's just great. And I'm so glad that you got to experience it in Bloomington. It was really exciting to watch.
Yeah, bought a lot of merch. Sorry, Mom.
You bought a lot of merch? Okay. All right. Well, hang on to it because in 20 years, you'll be happy you have it. So appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I only have one thing to say about the Facebook group this week, and I'm actually going to give credit to them. I know that's unusual.
It's so unusual.
I feel like those Facebook groups are being used like Google, and they shouldn't be. The parents are in there asking questions they could ask their kid, or they could just Google. But this week, so I will tell you, your brother's university is not very good at communicating when bills are due. Your university sends an email. Here's the amount. It's ready to pay. This is the due date. His does not. So we thought it was due a different day. And this morning I woke up and was scrolling and saw in the Facebook group, it's actually due tomorrow. And I did not know that. And I wouldn't have known it without the Facebook group. That is a reason to have a Facebook group, so that there is important information that parents actually need because they're the people paying the bills. So I'm giving credit where credit is due. I will be back to making fun of it next week, but I do appreciate that it actually served the purpose for why I'm in there. Information that I need, not information I could ask my kid. Could I ask him when the bill is due? Probably, but I don't think he would know that without searching. So, that's my job here. So I will say that. So how does that sound? Yeah.
Did not expect that on a Thursday morning.
I know. So I'm excited for our guest today. Cathi Bingaman is, she's a friend of mine. She's an entrepreneur. She created a business out of nothing. This whole idea, she is a personal concierge. So she basically takes the workload mostly off of busy professional women, but not just women, but mostly professional women. She deals with people who are just really busy doing what they're doing, and they need an extra set of hands for one thing or another. They might need her on a regular basis, or they might need her for, like, we talk about, like, my friend rents out her house for Derby. That's like a whole extra project that friend doesn't have time for. Or they may be having a dinner party at their house and they just don't have time to pull it together to the level that they want. She works with a lot of moms who just are too busy. They just cannot get it all done. So she's really created this business out of an idea. And so I love that. And I know for your career, you're not really looking at entrepreneurial type work, but I think she's got a lot of messages probably mixed in about the types of things that would make sense for you in any future career. So I'm excited to have her. Here she comes.
Yay.
Welcome to the Social Dialogue Podcast. We're a mother-daughter team, both working in the world of social media management.
Join us as we share our different perspectives on life today, including trends, fashion, friendships, and career, and how social media impacts it all. Together, we bring two perspectives to one conversation.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Jenna.
and we're excited to bring you this new episode of the Social Dialogue Podcast. All right, well, let's get started. Cathi, Jenna, Cathi.
Hi, Jenna. I've loved watching you. I feel like I know you from the podcast now. Yeah.
Well,
I love that.
It's so good to have you here. And Jenna, I'll tell you a little bit about Cathi. She is an amazing entrepreneur, and she's going to tell us in her own words a little bit more about who she is and what she does. But the reason I met her was we were both part of a networking group in Louisville called Greater Louisville Outstanding Women. I don't even know if you remember this, Cathi, but we had lunch at Noosh Nosh.
At Noosh Nosh, yes.
Yeah, right before COVID, right?
Right,
And that's when we first met, and I was like, you have such an interesting business. From there, our friend Libby started hiring Cathi to help her with things. Now, Cathi basically runs any extra thing that goes on at Libby's house. She's like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Cathi does it. Cathi has also been known to help out your grandmother, Yaya.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love her.
Yes, sometimes she needs some extra help with some things, and it's like, how do I do this? What do I do? So Cathi launched this business called In Sync With You, and basically she is a personal concierge. She will do all the shit that you don't either know how to do, have time to do, or just you just need an extra set of hands. So and I'm just going to talk about Libby for a second. Libby does a thing where she rents out her house for Derby. That's a lot of work, and she's a full-time partner and as an attorney. She doesn't have time to switch all the sheets and put everything out and lock everything up. And then not only that, there are things that happen through Derby weekend to make sure that the guests have food and there's cleaning. Cathi handles all of that. But on even just like a normal day-to-day, there are a lot of people that she helps, not on like a special occasion. So Cathi, in your own words, will you tell us sort of a little bit about In Sync With You? I don't even have my microphone up here. I'm so sorry. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm so frazzled today.
So In Sync With You, I think you said it, is really a business that I was inspired to start. It took me a long time to figure out what sparked the idea. And when I was working in corporate, I found myself a lot of times feeling very overwhelmed, sitting at the dinner table, watching my kids' mouths move, but then getting up from the dinner table and not remembering a word that they had said because I had all these things running around my head that I needed to do. And I thought I needed help, but I knew it wasn't like a nanny, and it wasn't a housekeeper, and I wasn't even sure what it was. I just felt it. It was only after that I started my business that I realized what it was is I needed to feel supported, right? I needed to know that someone saw me and that I had a trusted support system. And I didn't realize what that was at the time, but that's really what my idea in starting In Sync With You. And I was at a point in my career, it was pivotal, and I had decided that I didn't want to go back to corporate America. I had several jobs in different industries that had characteristics of things that I enjoyed, right? Like some things would light me up. I would get bored very easily. I just never found that one thing. And so I started exploring, getting really introspective about what is it that lights me up? What is it that I'm really good at? How do I serve others? And I found that I was really wired to support. I'm really naturally a concierge because I love providing white glove service. I love troubleshooting. I love the wow factor. And I had applied all of that in my career, which was all very service oriented. And so from there, I decided, what would that look like? Because there wasn't a job, right, that was going to be like all these things. So I decided to start my own. And never owned a business, but it was just something I felt very passionately about.
I mean, you really launched this idea really out of thin air. I mean, it didn't exist. Are there other people like you around the country that do what you do?
100%. There are people here in Louisville who do what I do. And there is actually really a trend in concierge services. I'm part of a concierge collaborative, which is really cool because if I have someone traveling out of Louisville or what have you, or needs a service in another city, then I can collaborate with other concierges and make those types of things happen. And what I have found, a lot of concierges have their niche. There are travel concierges, there are senior living concierges. And for us, what I discovered as I was really going through the process of evolving to where we are today, 12 years later, was that I really enjoyed the feeling that I got, especially woman to woman, when I remembered, right, what I knew would feel like to feel supported. And so it just, from there, I really focused on lifestyle and home management. It brought me joy to know that I was helping bring relief to people who were experiencing what I had experienced when my kids were younger.
What's the craziest thing you've ever had to solve?
I thought about that when I saw that on your email. There have been so many, like it's so crazy. I probably can't even remember them all. So I'm just going to give you like some fun ones. So we had a client come to us whose sons played volleyball in high school. So they decided they wanted to put an official size volleyball court, sand volleyball court in their yard at their house, and we made it happen. I had no idea, right, how to go about it, but that's one thing that when I started looking at what I wanted to do, I realized that I'm really good at solving problems. I'm really good at seeing things and making them happen, right? And so when they started telling me what they wanted, I could see the end in mind, and then I just reverse engineered it. It was just all went like this. We brought a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band in, Cheap Trick, for a client who wanted to celebrate her husband's 50th birthday. Jenna's like, who's Cheap Trick? It's okay.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
You would know a song or two if you heard it. They like played in the grocery store now.
Yeah, exactly. It was a big Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band that was very popular. So anyway, I got the opportunity. I'd never worked with a band. I never knew what a writer was, right? Which was the things that I had no idea. I learned so much. And I think that's one of the greatest joys, honestly, is that all these things that I've had the opportunity and privilege to do, like I've learned so much, and everything that we do just expands, our portfolio and our ability to serve people and help them with whatever they need, so.
Jenna, do you want to ask about social?
You're going to ask about the team question.
Oh, we can come back to that.
Okay. Well, we are a social podcast, so obviously we have to ask you about social. How do you use social media to market your business? Have you had any challenges with it, or is it working?
I love that question. Social has been one of those things as a business owner that I have had challenges with, I'll be honest. As a concierge, it's really hard to showcase on social, to tell the stories of the things that we do, the impact that we make. And so really trying to find that lane for us, and that real fine line. And so what I've come to, and what's worked more for me in the last little bit of trying to figure it out, is not so much a strategy, but more about being authentic and more about telling stories, things that people can relate to, and showing us going through the process. So for instance, if we do a milestone event for a client in their home, we take videos while we're in there, we show it all coming together, we show the end result of the family gathered and really enjoying what we've put together for them. And that helps people really see not only what we do, but the experience that we create. So social media has been one of those kind of windy roads for me. And then really finding someone that can capture the elevated look and feel of what we want to showcase, but then also the authenticity, right, and the down to earth of who we are. And I think right now we're doing better at that than we have and in a while. And I think a lot of that has just come with discovery, talking with people, watching other concierges actually across the country who and what they're doing on social media, and just really getting some good ideas from them. But it's 100% one of those things that you can't not do, right? You have to have that presence. And I've gotten business, even though I might not have this wide following yet. I have gotten a lot of business just from posting, hey, we did this weekend, or here's a list of things we accomplished for this client. Here's a testimonial of what this client experienced. Sound bites, of someone, one of our clients that did like a an interview on our behalf and shared her experience. We take sound bites from her and really hearing what our clients have experienced and showcasing that on social, I think we're finally making some headway on what's working for us.
Do you find that you ever wrestle with privacy? I mean, you deal with some people who don't. Number one, they may not want other people to know that you made that dinner or got that dinner ready.
Right.
But also just, I mean, you're in everybody's home. So are people hesitant, shy? How do you work around that?
That is such a great question, and I love that. One of the things initially that was very important to me when I started my business was that my clients trust me, right? And we work with a lot of physicians, a lot of upper level, executives, but regardless, whoever you are, you may not want someone to know that I've had people say to me, well, I don't want some people to think that I'm frivolous with my money. I don't want some people to think, oh my gosh, look at her, she has help, right? The reality is that they're not frivolous and they're not better than someone because they're actually smarter, because they're empowering. They're allowing themselves to be empowered to ask for help and to lean in and get that support. Something I read the other day is asking for help is a leadership skill. And I really believe that. And I think women are really leaning into that more. So with what you asked, the confidentiality part is what I lead with. It's something, and because a lot of our clients are referral based, I think when they come from, say, the person that you mentioned earlier, right? And she's okay with us sharing that she's a client, right? But I think when she shares about our services and how she's benefited from that, that just immediately establishes trust. And with that, I think people just know there's confidentiality, there's quality, there's, just that trust that's established out of the gate. And what I always talk to my new team members about, and my team, I always reiterated, is confidentiality is one of the reasons that our clients continue to use us on an ongoing basis, because they feel like that we're a trusted partner in their home and in their lives, and that they are very comfortable sharing information with us and letting us see behind the scenes.
Well, I think what you help people do is work smarter, not harder. So they can focus on what they need to focus on and not this extra thing they threw into their life. We have a dinner party on Thursday and I don't have time to get it ready. Those kinds of things come up. It could be anything. I know you've worked with people before getting a dog walker because they just don't have time to walk their dog.
Yeah.
You've worked on that before. I think you told me that story. So it's interesting, but I do think that what you do is really allow people to focus on what they're supposed to focus on and outsource what they don't have time for, and they want it done well.
Yes. And what I help people do, that is part of what we do too, is that when we first start working with someone, what we try to do is not just, hey, can I have your list of things that you can't get done? What we do is we sit down with them, we say, what are your core values? Like, what are the things that are most important to you? Because let's face it, your to-do list might have 25, 30 things on it that are important, that are priorities. But how do you decide what stays on your list, right? And because if you keep the things that you think, I have to do this, or I feel really guilty handing it off, well, those are energy drains. And that is not serving you. It is not allowing you to focus. It's not allowing you to be your best self, to be present, the way that you want to be present with your family or at your business. And so we help people understand and really focus in on their core values so that when they're looking at things, they can say, does this align with my top 3 core values? If it doesn't, then it makes it so much easier, right, to just hand it off, because it's going to be an energy drain. And energy drains are very disruptive in our day-to-day life.
Kind of like your elevator pitch, like the confidentiality, the trustedness, like what do you include in your elevator pitch when you're selling yourself to a new client?
That's such a great question. And, I think I don't have one set elevator pitch, right? Because it's all about meeting a client where they are. And really through discovery, even just in networking, when someone asks me what I do, it's funny how I landed on, and this goes to what you're saying, Jenna, or asking, there's a few iterations, right, of In Sync with You. And the vision that I had. I have a client now who I work with and have worked with pretty much from the beginning, who will say, I remember when you told me what your vision was, and I just want you to know that you're doing it. And we've been working together from the very beginning to that. And so I love that because I had my eye on my vision. And so as I began really getting my arms around what I wanted In Sync with You to look like and to be and to whom, I just started talking with people, sharing what we did. Sometimes it landed, sometimes it didn't. But my business coach gave me such a great piece of advice. She said, here's the thing, Cathi. You tell what you do, you share what you do. If you get deer in headlights, you move on. So that's what I kept doing. I would just say, okay, we support busy professional women. We help them take care of things and it would just run different variations until I'm at these network meetings and these women's eyes would just get really big. And they would say, wow, I need to talk to you. And they would invite me into their office or into their home. And they would ask about how we do these things. And I would tell them a lot of what I've told you. And then I would go to networking events and I would share, this is what we do. We work with professional women. And it started just being very consistent that it was the professional women who were really drawn to what it was that we were doing and why we were doing it. And that's how we landed on the business model that we have now. And so I love your question about the elevator pitch. I think I will tell you that in the beginning, I got really caught up on the elevator pitch. I think you have to be flexible, right? Tell your story, be authentic about what it is that you do. It may look this way one time, it may sound this way, but I think if you just really lean in to being authentic about what it is that you want to do, who you want to serve, and why you're doing it, then your message when you're talking will just naturally flow with the person that you're talking with. So
that's so true. I think that's true with every business, with every influencer, right, Jenna? I mean, everyone's just out there telling their story. And if they can be authentic, then it makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I love that can I say, sorry, it just, when you said that, I literally read something this morning. It's funny that you said that. It said authenticity is a business strategy. And I love that. It's kind of like, asking for help is a leadership skill. I think sometimes we also get bogged down in this business plan, right? And all these goals. But sometimes it just comes down to the basics, right? Of that being a true, like a business strategy or a leadership skill. So authenticity is something that I had to work to get there, I'll be honest, because I think it's really hard to show your true self in a lot of cases, especially when you're a business owner.
Do you think you
need to write these down?
Well, I know. I was just going to say, Jenna, note that one for the graphics. Jenna does the graphic design.
Okay. Wait, so authenticity is a leadership skill.
Is a business strategy. Authenticity is a business strategy.
No, leadership skill.
The authenticity is a business strategy. Leadership is asking for help is a leadership skill. And I'll tell you where I got these. And I think it's someone that I get a lot from. And her name is Maya. She is a mental fitness expert and visualization expert. She just wrote a book called Visualization. And I get a lot of really great content from her. I follow her on Instagram, but she's been very helpful for me to really embrace some of these nuggets so that you kind of keep them, like what you're saying, Jenna, kind of top of mind, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And, we're always listening for good sound bites so we can put them on social and promote the episode. So right on, Jenna. Way to go. So Cathi, you talk a little bit about you say we do this, we do that. So I know you've got a team. How do you implement with a team, and how do you make sure you've got quality control? How do you know that the people who work with you and are in other people's homes do it the way you would do it?
Great question. And that's been an evolution process. I was always business development sales. I never really managed a team. And I got to a point, I remember when I first started my business, I'm like, one of the concierges a couple of years ahead of me was talking about her team. And I'm like, I think I just want it to be me. I don't think I'll ever want a team. And she laughed and she goes, okay. She goes, you let me know how that goes and let's touch base in a couple of years. And so she was right on because, you have to have something that's sustainable. And me doing it all. And I really had my mindset. I was scared because I really did have a mindset. I had built the business and I was known for quality, white glove service, consistency, trustworthiness, and people having confidence. And so I was like, really it started with kind of identifying like the qualities that I had and I brought that I felt like really my clients relied on. And I knew those were characteristics that I was going to look for. And then I would talk with people because people know people. I wanted people that people knew that were already trusted. I did a very long discovery process. I had really long conversations with people and just ask very pointed questions, very conversational things, right? Just getting to know that person and hearing their heart and their character, how they approach things. And once I found that, and I've been pretty, I'll say successful. It hasn't hit every time, but right now I have probably one of the best teams I've ever had. I think it's because I've gotten better, right? At understanding, knowing what I'm looking for. So it starts with, asking and looking from people to people, a really good discovery process and having that conversation. It comes then to shadowing, thinking, yes, I think this person, right? So I'm going to put them in the homes. I'm going to put them in situations. They do in the beginning, we do a background check. So everyone's background check, that's one thing. And then secondly, they sign a confidentiality agreement. So they go into the home already knowing, about confidentiality. So they have all those things in the beginning. And then when they're in their home, I let them shadow, but then I also bring them back and let them work through a project or a task or whatever, and I watch how they approach it. And I look for people who have initiative, who go the extra mile, those types of things. And then the last thing that I do in terms of really creating that consistency is we do have SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures that everyone receives. And so there are some things that are enough task oriented that you can give them an SOP so they can check it. But really, what I have found is that when you're looking for a good concierge, it's not always on paper. It really is a lot about who they are. And that's how I've learned to go about, getting the right team members.
It's interesting because as you're talking about hiring, Jenna is looking to be hired, not as an entrepreneur, not in an entrepreneurial business, but I think that the same things apply. And I think
Absolutely.
the things that you're looking for are likely the things that she'll be able to show off when she is applying. She has all those skills. Everyone, initiative. Right? I mean, she has all of, she's organized, she follows directions, she understands SOPs.
My mom is my elevator pitch.
I am her elevator.
Can I take her with me on interviews?
I tell everyone about you, Cathi, so I'm your elevator pitch too. But right. I am not going to be the mom that goes with her to the interviews. That's happening, but not in this family. That's not happening. So, but as I talk about that, I do think about Jenna's skills and the things that you look for as an employer. So things that employers she is targeting will be looking for. What kinds of advice would you have for her as she finishes up college and starts to promote herself to land that great first job?
I think the first thing, Jenna, that I would say to you is know yourself. Like literally we say that, but I mean truly take a few minutes and truly know yourself and understand in your heart, what is it that lights you up? What is it that people ask you to do consistently? What is it that you think that you could do on a consistent basis that would continue to light you up? And don't go look for a job. Right? Go look for an experience, a place where you can use your skills, where you can grow and you can do the things that are important. I got very introspective and I would suggest you do it. And I wanted to know what it is that I really enjoy doing, right? Like truly, what is it that I liked doing and what is it that I'm good at doing? And there is that book called What Color is Your Parachute? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. College students usually get it. It's really cool. It's very tedious. But that's something I did when I was in that pivotal part of my career. I'd heard about it. And I did one weekend where I went through What Color is Your Parachute. And it really helps you identify through these exercises and things that you've done that you're really good at. Where's your skill set? What is it that you really love to do? What have you done on a consistent basis that you may not even realize that you've done? And when you know those things, they put it in this little flower. and it's really cool. And that's kind of the direction that helped me really follow that path that led me to becoming a concierge. So I think if you take the time before you start even, going on your interviews, is what is it that you really like doing? And from there, I think you have to really focus on and go for it, right? Like once have the courage to step out and go for it. You may not have everything you need, but you might have a lot of what you need. And if you have the courage, then from there, your systems and your support, it'll give you the rest of what you need to really make the most out of where you're going and what you're doing. And then I think the last thing I would say is just be yourself in the interview, when you're talking with people. Because I think, again, authenticity is a business strategy, right? And so if you are anything like your mom, which clearly you are, you just got to be yourself. And I think, yes, you have to have a skill set, without a doubt. But I think you also have to be true to yourself and really lean into what it is that you're good at. Because if you get into a job and you're doing things that you don't enjoy, or you're not good at, that is not going to serve you or whoever you're working with, right? So those are a few of things I would recommend.
I love those. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Cathi, the reason we wanted to bring you on today is because I think you've really created an idea for a business that didn't exist. And although I know you said it does exist in other places, you created it because you knew there was a need, and you probably would have created it whether or not it existed anywhere else. So my question to you is, I have two questions. One is, do you work with people who don't live in our local area? And my other question is, how do people find you?
I do work with people outside of the area. Currently, I have a call scheduled on Friday with a couple that's coming into Louisville for Derby, right? They've never been to Louisville, never been to Derby. So they found me through a hotel, through Louisville Tourism. And that's how I got, referred to them. I have had referrals, and we've done a destination wedding. That's for someone and I don't do weddings. I want not to do weddings. This was a destination wedding on a horse farm with a very small, intimate group of people. And they were personally referred to me. And so they were from Colorado. And then we have also gone to Florida with a client where we helped pack them up because they were moving to Florida. And we did such a great job for them that they asked us to come and unpack them and get them set up in their new home. So we did that. So yes, we travel, and or here's the thing, if we don't travel, again, through the collaborative, there's always someone that we're going to be able to refer them to. Gosh, going back to one of the clients you mentioned earlier, her mom was moving here to Louisville, and I was able to help find a concierge in her area and interviewed them, talked with them, vetted them, and then paired them with her mom, and they executed the move from there to Louisville. And so that's another way that we, can work with people outside the area. And I think, most of the people that we work with, they are referrals. Again, we're such a trusted service. When I first started my business, I really thought that I was going to, from business development and sales, where I was before, I was like doing all the things that I had done for other businesses, only to find out that it didn't work. I mean, it works sometimes, but the majority of the ways that people find us is social, where we're telling stories, referrals like Shane, people who have used our services.
Mom will refer you any day of the week.
I love that. And what I love is that what's cool is that sometimes I'll have someone reach out to me and they're like, so-and-so told me about you, but I've really hesitated. It takes a minute, because even though I think women are really getting more comfortable with asking for help, I still think there's some stigma attached. I should be able to do that myself. The answer is, yeah, you should, because you're probably, really good at doing things because you are where you are. But at the end of the day, should you, right? And so having those experiences, what I have found is through networking, and being in rooms, kind of actually, Shane, like the day that we were at 100 Wise Women, I was sitting at a table with you, there were 3 or 4 people that had utilized our services. Well, I didn't have to say a word, right? Everybody's like, oh, I used her for this and I used her for that. And so that, I think, was another thing we talked about, was networking. So again, the more that you're aligned with the people that you want to be in a room with, the more they can actually share your story. And you don't always have to share and network yourself, right? So
that's a good
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So for people who have listened today who want to get on the phone and call you and say, how can you take this off my plate? What's the best way to reach you? Your website?
So they can, website, which is insyncwithyou.com. And that's INSYNC with you.com. But however they want, they can really reach me at any of the contact points. Yeah.
Well, Cathi, thank you so much for sharing your story today and telling us how social is affecting your business and impacting it, and just keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing on social. I think it's fun. I think it's you.
Good.
It's looking great.
You.
So
well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I really do appreciate you thinking about having me
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Good luck, Jenna. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Social Dialogue podcast. If you liked today's conversation, be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and a review and share it with a friend.
Keep the dialogue going with us on social. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Jenna.
Thanks for listening.